What about the great perfection of the yellow extreme realm? I am also in the realm of the great perfection of the yellow extreme realm. Corners of the 9 counties lord's mouth raised a charming arc, and the true chi in her turned into jade white, and even her skin was covered with a layer of jade-colored brilliance. The blue water sword in her hand also rushed up to a half-Zhonghai sword. With a wave of the 9 county lord's arm, a circular sword circle was drawn on the top of his head, emitting a jade-white light, and the sword chi surged towards Lin Yushan in a circle. How is that possible? How could Lin Qishan have expected that the 9 county lords would be able to break through the great perfection of the Yellow Pole realm? Moreover, the true chi of the 9 county lords also seemed to be more powerful than before, very strong, with a faint chill. Lin Qishan felt that her own true chi seemed to be weaker than that of the 9 county lords. Sure enough, I succeeded in cultivating the first level of the Tianhe Jade Sutra, but I didn't expect that the 9th sister's physique was so suitable for cultivating the Tianhe Jade Sutra. A smile appeared on the corner of Zhang Ruokan's mouth. The secret book of exercises is not that the higher the grade, the better, the key is that the exercises should fit the physique of the martial artist. Obviously, the physique of the 9 counties lord is very suitable for the Tianhe Jade Sutra, so he can successfully cultivate the first level of the Tianhe Jade Sutra in a short period of time. If Allah is allowed to cultivate the Tianhe Jade Sutra, perhaps his cultivation speed is not as good as that of the 9 county lords. It's not that his talent is not as high as that of the 9 counties lord, but because his physique does not fit the Tianhe Jade Sutra. Since the 9 counties lord has also reached the great perfection of the yellow extreme realm, there is suspense about the outcome again. Lin Qishan's attainments in swordsmanship are a cut above those of the 9 county. However, the grade of the exercises cultivated by the 9 counties lord was above Lin Lushan, so her true chi purity was higher, and she could also exert great power when she used low-grade swordsmanship. They are also known as the Wangcheng Shuangmei, with peerless beauty that ordinary people cannot match, and every sword move is beautiful and elegant, like 2 fairies dancing with swords. They clashed but were extremely dangerous, and one after another sword chi flew out, cutting deep holes in the ground. What if you reach the great perfection of the yellow extreme realm? It still can't be my heavenly heart shows the way. Lin Lushan unleashed the sword technique of the spirit level, and with a wave of his arm, a sword chi more than 8 meters long flew out from the blade, dragging a long sword path towards the 9 county lords. The 9 counties lord had not cultivated a spirit level lower grade swordsmanship, but he had cultivated a human level top grade swordsmanship, an ethereal swordsmanship. Ethereal and silent. The 9 county lord held the hilt of the sword with both hands, slashed towards the ground, and struck a hard blow with Lin Qishan. Bang! 9 counties lord was cut on his arm by the sword chi, leaving a bloody wound on his. The power of the swordsmanship of the spirit level lower grade is not at all comparable to the human level swordsmanship. In the end, the 9 county lords were still weaker than Lin Lushan. Lin Lushan sneered, stepped on the pace again, and chased after the 9 county lords, another move, Tianxin guiding the way. Seeing that the 9 county lord was forced to retreat by Lin Qishan, Zhang Ruokan immediately said, "Ninth sister, don't fight with her, use the strategy of wandering to consume her true chi." Hearing Zhang Ruokan's words, the 9 counties lord suddenly realized, and immediately cast a human-level middle-grade body technique, turned into an afterimage, and moved out horizontally, avoiding Lin Lushan's sword just now. Although the spirit-level sword technique is powerful, it consumes quite a lot of true chi. Lin Qishan had only just reached the great perfection of the yellow extreme realm, and his true chi was still very thin, and if he used 10 spirit-level swordsmanship at most, his true chi would be exhausted. Lin Chanu stood outside the martial arts training arena with his hands behind his back, and said with a smile, "Since your cousin wants to guide the 9 county lords, can Lin also guide Lushan?" Zhang Ruokan's hands spread out and said with a smile, "Please." Lin Chanu said, "Lushan, since the 9 counties are mainly fleeing, then you will take advantage of the victory to pursue and use the Lin family's life-chasing sword technique to block her retreat." Lin Qishan comprehended, and according to Lin Chanu's words, he immediately displayed the life-chasing sword technique, pursued the 9 county lords, and forced the 9 county lords into danger. There were a few more cuts on the clothes of the 9 county lords. Zhang Ruokan stood at the other end of the martial arts training ground and said, "Ninth sister, use the blue water sword technique to attack her next plate." The 9 county lord immediately followed Zhang Ruokan's words, and cast a trick to return the blue water, and the tip of the sword slashed through Lin Lushan's lower abdomen. Sting. A cut was made on Lin Qishan's lower abdomen, revealing snow-white and delicate skin, and he was almost seriously injured by the sword of the 9 county lord. Zhang Ruokan and Lin Chanu's knowledge of martial arts is much higher than that of the 9 county lords and Lin Lushan, so their guidance makes their battle even more dangerous. It can no longer be regarded as a battle between the 9 county lord and Lin Lushan, but a duel between Zhang Ruokan and Lin Chanu. Lin Qishan, use the Tianxin sword technique to take her face directly. Ninth sister, don't touch her. Immediately move 3 steps to the left, turn around and stab the sword. Zhang Ruokan and Lin Chanu kept speaking out and pointed out the 9 county lords and Lin Lushan, and after half an hour, the 2 daughters still did not distinguish the winner or loser, and there were more and more wounds on their bodies. Zhang Ruokan saw that there were as many as 5 wounds on the body of the 9 county lords, and each wound was bleeding, and secretly said in his heart, if she continued to fight, she and Lin Qishan would definitely be seriously injured. A lose-lose situation. Zhang Ruokan shook his head, snatched the iron sword from Ali's hand, squeezed it in his hand, and said, "Ninth sister, see how I use the sword. Heavenly heart breaks." Zhang Ruokan stood outside the martial arts training ground, stepped on the mysterious steps, stabbed out with a sword, and 7 sword chi flew out from the top of the sword. Of the 9 counties drew a scoop according to the gourd, and immediately followed. Ruokan's sword to move, cast the Tianxin breaking plum, and stabbed Lin Lushan's eyebrows with a sword. Tianxin breaking mei is a trick on the Tianxin sword technique, and even Lin Qishan has not learned it until now. Seeing the 9 counties lord casting the heavenly heart-breaking plum, Lin Lushan was suddenly a little flustered, and immediately dodged to the right. Zhang Ruokan, who was outside the martial arts training ground, seemed to have expected Lin Yushan to dodge to the right, so his arm shook, and the sword in his hand immediately sank downward, slashing to the right. When the 9 county lord saw Zhang Ruokan change his move, he also changed his move, holding the blue water sword, and slashed to the right. Phew! When her sword stopped, not a single point, not less than a point, it was just pointed at Lin Lushan's neck. Lin Lushan's face changed drastically and she wanted to fight back. Don't move. The 9 county lord's arm added a little more force, and the sword blade cut through the skin on Lin Lushan's neck, and a drop of blood rolled down from the sword blade. If Lin Lushan dared to fight back, the sword would only pierce deeper. At this moment, the 9 counties lord was very pleased, so he pointed his sword at Lin Lushan's neck, picked up Lin Lushan's chin with the tip of the sword, and said with a smile, "Sister Lushan, you must not move. If you are not careful, the lord of this county will cut your face that is alluring to the country and the city, then you will suffer." Lin Qishan didn't dare to move, she was really afraid that the 9 county lord would cut her face. As the lord of the 9 counties, even if she cuts her face during the competition, she will only be reprimanded by the king of Yunwu County and the queen mother for a few words, and she will not really be punished. If it weren't for Zhang Ruokan to help you, you wouldn't have been able to win me. Lin Qishan bit her white teeth, very annoyed, and said, "Let's fight a fair battle again. I've already won, so why should I fight you?" The 9 county lord blinked and asked a little playfully. Was always pointed at Lin Lushan's neck and cheek, as if she would stab Lin Lushan at any time, disfiguring Lin Lushan. Before the competition, Lin Qishan never thought that she would lose in the hands of the 9 county lords, and until this moment, she no longer admitted that she was inferior to the 9 county lords. Lin Qishan was unwilling and said, "As long as you are willing to fight a fair battle with me, we can gamble even bigger. If I fall into your hands again, I will be your handmaiden and serve you for 10 years. Not interested. The 9 county lord shook his head and said, this county lord doesn't have so much time to fight with you again. If you lose this martial arts, kneel down immediately and apologize to this county lord, otherwise this county lord will slash your face and make you an ugly monster. Zhang Ruokan shook his head lightly and sighed secretly. The battle between women was really terrible. However, he didn't sympathize with Lin Qishan. If the person who lost this martial arts battle was the lord of the 9 counties, then Lin Qishan would definitely use more extreme methods to humiliate Zhang Ruokan. With a gloomy anger in her eyes, Lin Lushan said, I promised to apologize to you, but I didn't promise to kneel down to apologize to you. If the county lord wins, I want you to kneel down and apologize. You can do it. If you don't kneel, the lord of this county will really cut your face. The main road of the 9 counties. Lin Lushan's eyes stared at Lin Chanu and cast a look of help. Lin Chanu said, Your Royal Highness, you have to be forgiving and forgiving. Quote. Shut up. Who are you? You are just a slave of the 7th brother, and you are qualified to stand and talk to the lord of this county. The main road of the 9 counties. Lin Chanu's face sank, and a trace of killing intent flashed from his eyes, but he soon covered up his killing intent, bowed respectfully to the lord of the 9 counties, and said, the slave doesn't dare. Lu Shan, why don't you kneel down immediately and apologize to the lord of the 9 counties? Lin Qishan's eyes also had a strong killing intent, and her whole body was trembling. For her, kneeling down to the lord of the 9 counties was simply a great shame. The 9 county lord's eyes blinked, and he said with a smile, this county lord is not an unreasonable person. If you are willing to take out 1,000,000 silver coins to atone for your sins, I can bypass you this time and let you kneel freely. The eyes of the 9 county lord glanced at Zhang Ruokan outside the martial arts training ground, and the meaning was very clear, the 9th brother owed you 1,000,000 silver coins. As long as you don't ask for the 1,000,000 silver coins anymore, the lord of the county can let you go. Lin Qishan naturally understood what the 9 county lord meant, and also glanced at Zhang Ruokan. You take out 1,000,000 silver coins, you can. However, it was 1,000,000 silver coins, which was a huge wealth for the entire Lin family. Lin Qishan was reluctant to take it out. Good. I kneel. Lin Lushan seemed to have made a major decision, and actually knelt in front of the lord of the 9 counties, and said, Your Royal Highness the lord of the 9 counties, Lushan apologizes to you. It was all Lushan's fault before, please forgive me. The 9 county lords were stunned. The 9 county lord didn't really mean to embarrass Lin Lushan, he just wanted to force Lin Lushan to return the 1,000,000 silver coins. But she didn't expect that Lin Qishan was really willing to suffer such a shame and apologize for the sake of 1,000,000 silver coins. If she was to be the lord of the 9 counties, she would definitely not be able to do it. Lin Lushan stood up, did not look at the 9 counties lord again, but stared at Zhang Ruokan, and said, Cousin, within a month, remember to send 1,000,000 silver coins to the Lin mansion. After saying this, Lin Lushan and Lin Chanu took the 3 guards of the Lin family and left the royal martial arts training ground in a gloomy manner. Walking out of the palace, tears of humiliation flowed from Lin Lushan's eyes, and she said coldly, the lord of the 9 counties actually insulted me so much, she must die, and Zhang Ruokan. I don't want to see these 2 again in my life. A cold light flashed in Lin Chanu's eyes, and he said, Don't worry. I have already been to the black market and spent a lot of money to reward Zhang Ruokan's head. As long as Zhang Ruokan dares to leave the palace one step, it will be his death. As for the 9 county lords, it would be easy to kill her. Lu Shan, the most important thing for you now is to cultivate hard, and strive to reach the Xuanji realm as soon as possible. When the time comes, you don't need to rely on other people's hands at all. Relying on your own strength, you can kill the 9 county lords. A cold voice flashed in Lin Lushan's eyes, and she said, Yes. I must personally cut the lord of the 9 counties with 1,000 knives to eliminate the hatred in my heart. Lin Chanu took out a red copper box from his sleeve, handed it to Lin Lushan, and said, This is a 3-grade pill Xuanshui pill. When you hit the Xuanji realm, taking it can increase the success rate of the 3rd layer. When you break through the Xuanji realm, I can take you to the Yuntai sect, and with your talents, it will not be difficult to pass the exam of the Yuntai sect. Lin Lushan accepted the Xuanshui pill, a hint of joy appeared in her eyes, and said, if you break through the Xuanji realm, you can go to the Yuntai sect mansion. It's really good, I'm sure I'll be able to meet His Royal Highness the 7th Prince then. Of course. A smile appeared at the corner of Lin Chunu's mouth, and he said, His Royal Highness the 7th Prince is now a disciple of the Inner Palace, and his status is transcendent. If you can be blessed by His Royal Highness the 7th Prince, you will be indispensable in the future. Hearing Lin Chunu's words, Lin Lushan immediately forgot about the humiliation just now, and a trace of expectation arose in her heart. His Royal Highness the 7th Prince is so amazing, in front of him, Zhang Ruokan is just a small role. The Royal Martial Arts Training Ground. Zhang Ruokan said, Ninth sister, you humiliated Lin Lushan so much today and made her kneel in front of everyone. In the future, I am afraid that she will use extreme methods to retaliate against you. The Lord of the 9 Counties took the Bishui sword back into its scabbard and said, I didn't intend to humiliate her, I just wanted to help you get back 1,000,000 silver coins. Besides, how could the Lord of this county be afraid of her? Even if she lends her a guts, she will not dare to touch the people of our royal family. I hope so. Zhang Ruokan took out a bronze box, handed it to the 9 county lords, and said, Ninth sister, this is a Xuanshui pill. When you hit the Xuanji realm, taking it can increase the success rate by 30%. Zhang Ruokan bought the Xuanshui pill, originally planning to take it himself and impact the Xuanji realm. However, he cultivated to the supreme extreme realm in Wang Mountain, which attracted the resonance of the gods, and with the blessing of the power of the gods, he directly broke through to the Xuanji realm, so he did not use the Xuanshui pill. Now, he gave the Xuanshui pill to the 9 county lords. The 9 county lords were not polite to Zhang Ruokan at all, and very happily accepted the Xuanshui pill. The other princes and county lords were all envious. You must know that the Xuanshui pill was a 3-grade pill, worth 120,000 silver coins, which could save a year of cultivation time. Ordinary princes and county lords can't afford to buy them at all. Leaving the Royal Martial Arts Training Ground, Allah resigned to Zhang Ruokan and wanted to go to the black market. Allah. Zhang Ruokan's departing Allah stopped and said meaningfully, in a month, I will leave the royal city and go to the Wuxi Academy Palace. But there's one thing I can't reassure about. Allah stared at Zhang Ruokan and said, 9 county lords. Zhang Ruokan nodded and said, Lin Qishan has suffered such a big insult, she will definitely take revenge on the 9th sister, and may even kill the 9th sister. Allah said, as long as I am still in the royal city, I will definitely secretly protect the Lord of the 9 counties, and I will not let the Lin family harm her. I'm relieved to get your promise. Zhang Ruokan said with a smile. Allah didn't say a word more, and walked towards the outside of the palace, leaving only a lonely and proud back. Zhang Ruokan always felt that spending 1,000,000 silver coins to buy Allah from Lin Lushan's hands was the most cost-effective deal he had made. But 1,000,000 silver coins is not a small amount. He now only has a total of 890,000 silver coins, and he is still short of 110,000 silver coins. How can he make up this amount of money? It seems that you can only pin your hopes on the space-time ring. As long as you can refine a space-time ring, you can definitely easily earn 110,000 silver coins. Now that I have reached the Xuanji realm, my true qi is more vigorous, and I have a faint power of the gods in my body, and I should be able to depict the Zhang-shaped inscription and the condensed inscription. The 8 basic space inscriptions, the first 6 inscriptions, Zhang Ruokan has already been able to depict them. Only the sheet-shaped inscription and the miniature inscription are difficult to depict, and they have not been successfully depicted. You must know that Zhang Ruokan's spiritual power is very strong, reaching the 32nd order. Therefore, he couldn't depict the Zhang-shaped space inscription and the shrinking space inscription before, not because his spiritual power was not strong enough, but because the true qi in his body was not deep enough. Now, his cultivation has reached the Xuanji realm, and his true qi has soared, so he naturally has a greater certainty of carving out the Zhong-shaped space inscription and the shrinking space inscription. Thinking of this, Zhang Ruokan couldn't wait to get up and immediately rushed back to Yushu Palace. As soon as he arrived outside the palace gate of Yushu Palace, General Ganli greeted him with an axe, bowed to Zhang Ruokan, and said, "Meet His Royal Highness the Ninth Prince." "General Ganli, what's the matter with you?" Zhang Ruokan said. Ganli smiled, handed a burden to Zhang Ruokan, and said, "This is the silver coin and spirit crystal sent by the finance mansion, which is said to be the money exchanged for the brute beasts hunted by His Royal Highness the Nine Princes in the Wang Mountain." Oh, Zhang Ruokan's heart was overjoyed, and he immediately took over the burden, feeling quite heavy. When he opened the baggage and saw the silver coins and spirit crystals inside, Zhang Ruokan immediately laughed. The baggage contained 143 spirit crystals and 670 silver coins, adding up to 143,670 silver coins. You must know that Zhang Ruokan killed a total of 3 second-order brute beasts, 31st order high-grade brute beasts, more than 31st order medium-level brute beasts, and some FIRST order inferior brute beasts. The price of a second-order brute beast is almost always above 20,000 silver coins. For example, the second-order brute beast silver dragon lion is full of treasures, and if it is sold in the martial market, it can generally buy 30,000 to 40,000 silver coins. The price of a first-order high-grade brute beast ranged from 5,000 silver coins to 10,000 silver coins. The price of a first-order mid-level brute beast is generally around 1,000 silver coins. I've been half in the King's Mountain month. He earned 143,670 silver coins. This is still because of the exchange in the finance mansion. The price is low, and if it is sold in the martial market, the price is estimated to reach more than 200,000 silver coins. Hunting brute beasts seems to be quite profitable, but it is actually not so easy. The reason why Zhang Ruokan was able to hunt so many brute beasts was because Wang Mountain was originally the hunting ground of the royal family, and the attack power of the brute beasts in captivity in Wang Mountain was not very strong, and there would be no second-order high-grade brute beasts and third-order brute beasts at all, and the danger level was relatively low. If it is changed to the Heavenly Demon Ridge, or the Tongming River, let alone a martial artist in the early stage of the Xuanji realm, even if it is a martial artist of the great perfection of the Xuanji realm, if you want to hunt brute beasts in it to make money, it is definitely a matter of 9 deaths. If the martial artists of the Earth Extreme Realm and the Heavenly Extreme Realm dare to enter the depths of the Heavenly Demon Ridge alone, or the death section of the Tongming River, 9 times out of 10 they will also fall. Therefore, to be able to get 143,670 silver coins, Zhang Ruokan was quite satisfied, at least enough of the 1 million silver coins handed over to Lin Lushan. Returning to his residence, Zhang Ruokan immediately entered the inner space of the space-time crystal. He took out an inscription pen and placed another piece of spirit paper on the ground. Be sure to portray success. Zhang Ruokan injected the true qi into the inscription pen and quickly carved the Zhong-shaped space inscription on the spirit paper. Reaching the Xuanji realm, Zhang Ruokan obviously felt that his movements were more smooth, and he only took 10 breaths to successfully depict the Zhong space inscription. Haha, it worked, it finally worked. Zhang Ruokan began to depict the shrunken space inscription again. This time, he portrayed faster, and it only took 8 breaths to portray successfully. Zhang Ruokan continued to practice on the spirit paper, and when he practiced for the 10th time, he only needed 3 breaths to successfully depict the Zhong-shaped inscription and the shrinking inscription. It's great that all the 8 basic spatial inscriptions have been successfully depicted. Attracting the resonance of the gods for the first time, my mental power seems to have improved a lot. I don't know, how many levels of spiritual power have I reached? Zhang Ruokan was in a good mood and was ready to start refining the space ring. Last time, although he refined a spatial ring, at that time, he had not learned the Zhong-shaped inscription and could not expand the inner space of the spatial ring. Therefore, that space ring is only a basic space ring, and the internal space is quite narrow, only 1 cubic meter, and only a small number of items can be stored. Now that he has learned the Zhong-shaped inscription and the condensed inscription, how much space will he refine the space ring of the inner space? Zhang Ruochen was a little expectant, and immediately took out a white ring carved with a phoenix pattern and pinched it in his hand. The first step is to engrave a spatial inscription on the white ring. Zhang Ruochen spent less than a quarter of an hour to engrave 6 spatial inscriptions in one go. None of them failed, and all of them succeeded. The interior of the white ring creates an inner space of 1 cubic meter. Next, the most critical place is to depict the Zhong-shaped inscription and expand the size of the inner space. Zhang Ruochen held an inscription pen in his hand, carefully carving on the white phoenix ring, and the strokes were very smooth, like flowing water. Boom! As soon as the Zhong-shaped inscription was successfully carved, the inner space of the space ring immediately began to expand. 1 cube, 2 cubes, 3 cubes. Soon, the inner space of the space ring reached the capacity of 8 cubic meters, and it was still increasing. Zhang Ruochen continuously injected the true qi of his whole body into the space ring, and used up his whole body to cultivate, wanting to expand the size of the inner space to the extreme. With Zhang Ruochen's unremitting efforts, the inner space of the space ring was finally expanded to 12 cubic meters, which is equivalent to the space of a small house. Wow! The surface of the space ring, the light flashed, and the inner space was completely propped up, forming an independent space. With my current cultivation, I can only make the inner space of the spatial ring reach 12 cubes, and it can't be bigger. 12 cubes, although not too big, are completely enough for an average martial artist. In the future, Zhang Ruochen's cultivation will be enhanced, and he will naturally be able to refine a ring with a larger space. Burning the inscription is only the first step. The next step is the second step, refining the ring. Zhang Ruochen purchased a 7th order true martial treasure level refining furnace from Qingshan Pavilion to refine the space ring. Under the tempering of the flames, the inner space in the ring is completely stabilized, becoming a true martial weapon. He put the spatial ring into the refining furnace, and then placed a fire attribute spirit crystal under the refining furnace. Phew! Under the urging of Zhang Ruochen's true qi, that fire attribute spirit crystal burned. Once the spirit crystal burned, Zhang Ruochen only needed to control the strength of the flame on the side. When a strong flame was needed, Zhang Ruochen injected his true qi into the spirit crystal, and the spirit crystal naturally burned more vigorously. Zhang Ruochen sat at the bottom of the refining furnace, summoned the heavenly divine wood diagram suspended in the gas lake, and rotated the animation scroll in front of him. He stretched out a palm and pressed it on the surface of the scroll, injecting true qi into the scroll and calling Xiaohei out. The black light flashed, and a black giant cat appeared in front of Zhang Ruochen. Xiaohei's body was round, his tail was upturned, and his eyes were like 2 round black crystals, and he said, "Young man, have you learned all the 8 basic spatial inscriptions?" Zhang Ruochen nodded and said, "However, I always feel that the space ring is still missing something." Xiao Haidao. The space ring is just the most basic space treasure. And the space ring you have refined is the foundation of the foundation. Zhang Ruochen said, "What do you say?" Xiaohei said, "The space ring you refined lacks the recognition of the Lord inscription. Once the space ring is lost, anyone can open your space ring and take the treasures you have stored inside." Zhang Ruochen nodded, and said, "What else?" Xiaohei said, "The space ring refined by the holy monk of Sumeru back then can not only be used for storage, but can also launch offensive power and exert defensive power. You can also burn attack and defense marks on the space ring." Zhang Ruochen's eyes lit up. "Of course." Xiaohei continued, "As long as you are highly accomplished in the inscription, you can also burn the hidden inscription on the spatial ring. As long as there is a hidden inscription burned, others will not be able to see that you are wearing a ring on your hand, and they will not be afraid that others will covet your spatial ring." Subsequently, Xiao He said, "It's just that the recognition of the Lord inscription and the concealment inscription are all intermediate level inscriptions, which are quite complicated, and they can only be burned as long as the spiritual power reaches more than the 30th order. Moreover, even if the spiritual power reaches the 30 level or above, it requires a lot of study and practice. After all, spatial inscriptions are more difficult and complex than other inscriptions." Zhang Ruokan opened the fourth page of the Secret Archive of Time and Space, and it recorded 16 intermediate spatial inscriptions. The inscription of recognizing the owner and the inscription of concealment are one of them. In addition to this, there are offensive inscriptions, defensive inscriptions. The simplest of the intermediate inscriptions is also more than 10 times more complex than the sheet type inscriptions and the miniature inscriptions. With Zhang Ruokan's current cultivation, it is definitely not an easy task to depict the inscription of the master. My spiritual power is above the 30th level, and I have reached the standard of carving intermediate inscriptions. As long as I practice hard, I will definitely be able to depict the inscriptions of the Lord Confession. Zhang Ruokan carefully observed the inscription of the recognition of the master, and completely remembered the inscription of the recognition of the master. After that, he practiced on the spirit paper. About an hour later, there was a strange noise in the furnace. The space ring has been refined. Zhang Ruokan couldn't wait to take out the space ring from the refining furnace, put it in the palm of his hand, looked at it carefully, and a smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. A space ring with only 1 cubic meter of inner space can be sold for 100,000 silver coins, and the inner space of this space ring is more than 10 times larger than that one. What price can it be sold for? Zhang Ruokan didn't wait to sell the space ring, because he didn't lack silver coins at all now, so he didn't need to be in such a hurry. As long as the first one is successfully refined, more space rings will naturally be continuously refined. A month later, it's time for the entrance exam to the Takeshi Academy. Strive to take our strength to the next level within a month. In a month's time, it is too difficult to cultivate from the early stage of the Xuanji realm to the middle stage of the Xuanji realm. Since this is the case, then start cultivating the space realm. Zhang Ruokan turned the Secret Book of Time and Space to the third page and began to devote himself to studying the cultivation method of the space domain. The so-called space realm is to use the space time martial soul to form a martial arts space independent of the outside world with one's own body as the center. In the space realm, Zhang Ruokan has the final say on everything, because he is the master of the domain. Once the space realm was successfully cultivated, Zhang Ruokan's combat power would increase by at least 3 times, or even more powerful. Originally, only by reaching the heavenly extreme realm could Zhang Ruokan cultivate the space realm. However, Zhang Ruokan's soul was comparable to that of a martial artist in the heavenly extreme realm, and he had opened up his soul vein, so he would naturally be able to cultivate the space realm in advance. Time flies. 1 month in the outside world, 3 months in the inner space of the space time crystal. For 3 months, Zhang Ruokan had spent most of his time cultivating the spatial realm, and finally, the night before he was about to leave the palace, he had successfully cultivated the spatial realm. Space domain. Zhang Ruokan sat in the room, using his soul vein to mobilize the martial soul and levitate behind him. The martial soul mobilizes the aura of heaven and earth and condenses it into the power of space. With Zhang Ruokan's body as the center, a spherical space field covering a radius of 10 meters is formed. Zhang Ruokan was like being wrapped in the center of a huge white ball, and everything in the ball was under his control. Up. Zhang Ruokan's arm was slightly lifting. A red copper lampstand 3 meters away slowly flew up and was suspended in mid-air. Smack. Suddenly, the lampstand fell to the ground, the flames went out, and the lamp oil splashed on the ground. The space realm also shattered and disappeared. The spatial realm I have built now is still too fragile, and it must continue to be cultivated and consolidated. Moreover, I feel that my spatial realm still seems to have the power of thunder and lightning. Has the thunder and lightning martial soul of my previous life not completely disappeared? Quote. Zhang Ruokan propped up the space field again, and after careful observation, he found that there was a trace of thunder and lightning flowing in the space field. At this moment, a floater broke into the space field and flew towards Zhang Ruokan. Zhang Ruokan smiled slightly, and the thought moved in his mind. Smack. Quote. A thunderbolt condensed from the void, like a white heavenly knife, slashing at the back of the floater, splitting the floater into ashes. Zhang Ruokan found another wonderful point. As long as he was in the space realm, his eyesight and ear power would be increased several times, and he could clearly see the fine scales on the wings of the flying mosquito and hear the slightest wind sound. That's the beauty of the space field. Sure enough, as recorded in the Secret Book of Time and Space, the space domain is really powerful, and I have only now discovered less than 1/10 of the beauty of the space field. Quote. Although Zhang Ruokan really wanted to continue to cultivate, he continued to explore more wonders in the space realm. However, tomorrow he will leave the palace and go to the Wuxi School Palace, and he doesn't know how long it will take to come back. Before leaving, he naturally wanted to get together with concubine Lin. Since Zhang Ruokan showed a strong cultivation talent, concubine Lin's status in the palace has continued to rise, and the palace maids and eunuchs around her have gradually increased, and the entire Yushu palace has become lively. Chanur, it is said that the Wuxi School Palace was built in the Heavenly Demon Ridge, where brute beasts are rampant and quite dangerous. You have to be careful. Quote. Concubine Lin took Zhang Ruokan's hand, very reluctant to let Zhang Ruokan leave. However, she also knows that when children grow up, sooner or later they will have to leave the arms of their parents and face the storms and challenges outside. Zhang Ruokan smiled. Mother, you are too worried. The Martial City School Palace was only built on the periphery of the Heavenly Demon Ridge, so it wouldn't be too dangerous. Besides, the masters of the Martial City Academy Palace are like clouds, and those brute beasts in the Heavenly Demon Ridge do not dare to attack the Martial City Academy. Quote. Concubine Lin nodded, and then said, it is said that you and Lu Shan have a feud again. She is your cousin after all, and even if you make a big mistake in the future, you will remember to spare her life. Quote. Zhang Ruokan's face became serious, and he said, this was told to me by the old lady of the Lin family, right? Quote. After taking the spirit meat, concubine Lin looked even younger and more beautiful, and said softly, Chanur. Your grandfather still cares about you, but there are some things he can't help himself. Quote. Zhang Ruokan nodded and said, Mother, I promise you, as long as the people of their Lin family don't provoke me again, I will naturally not deal with them. Quote. Concubine Lin nodded deeply. She was really proud of her son. He had really grown up. For him, the Wuxi School Palace will be a bigger stage. As long as they achieve outstanding achievements in the Wuxi School Palace, those who once looked down on their mother and son so much will naturally shut up obediently. Subsequently, Zhang Ruokan took out 1,000 spirit crystals and handed them to concubine Lin, and asked concubine Lin to send them to the Lin mansion and hand them over to the Lin family. 1,000 spirit crystals are equivalent to 1 million silver coins. Zhang Ruokan asked concubine Lin to send 1 million silver coins to the Lin family. In fact, it was also seen that concubine Lin still had deep feelings for the Lin family, and if they could repair their relationship through this opportunity, it would naturally be the best. If the Lin family still has the same attitude as before, and the two sides become enemies in the future, Zhang Ruokan will not show mercy. The next day, the sky was slightly bright, and under the escort of a team of forbidden troops, Zhang Ruokan boarded the ancient carriage of the antelope horse. The 9-county lord's figure was tall, slim, and beautiful, standing on the top of the stairs, and he raised his voice. Ninth brother, I will also cultivate to the Xuanji realm as soon as possible, and I will definitely go to the Martial City Academy Palace to find you when the time comes. Quote. Zhang Ruokan sat on the antelope horse and said with a smile, Ninth sister, I am waiting for you in the Wuxi School Palace. Quote. Subsequently, under the escort of General Ganli and 100 forbidden soldiers, Zhang Ruokan's car slowly left the palace and embarked on a new journey. Lin House. When Lin Lushan received the news, she immediately rushed to Lin Chanu's residence, and said a little anxiously, "Brother, Zhang Ruokan has already left the palace and is going to the Wuxi Shui Palace, why don't you do it yet?" Quote. Lin Chanu smiled faintly and said, "What's the hurry?" Quote. If you let him reach the Martial City Academy, he will never have a chance to kill him again. Lin Lushan's eyes were cold, and her hatred for Zhang Ruokan was extremely deep. Lin Chanu sat on a chair, his hands folded, he was cultivating an evil skill, and his whole body exuded a cold aura. He closed his eyes and said lightly, "Lu Shan, even if you can't trust me, you should be able to trust the Defuman. Rest assured, if he can't get to the Martial City Academy, he will be killed." Defu Gate, the largest killer organization in the Yunwu County country, it is said that it once killed the martial artists of the Heavenly Extreme Realm. Lin Qishan's eyes lit up. If he really invited the killer of the Defu Gate, then Zhang Ruokan would definitely die. Lin Chanu said with a smile, "The Defu Gate is not only the largest killer organization in the Yunwu County country, but the Defu Gate is also the #1 in the entire Lingxi 9 counties. This Time, the two killers sent by the Defu Gate had assassinated at least one martial artist of the Xuanji realm. The two of them shot at the same time. Even if Zhang Ruokan's cultivation reached the Zan Extreme realm, it would definitely be a dead end. I suspect that we don't need to wait until noon to receive the good news that His Royal Highness the Ninth Prince has been assassinated. When the time comes, the Queen will surely give me a rich reward." Haha. Lin Chanu's eyes opened, and a pair of pupils turned out to be blood red, giving people an unusually fierce feeling. A smile also appeared on Lin Lushan's face, and said, "Since it is a killer sent out by the Defu Gate, it is naturally foolproof." In addition to Zhang Ruokan, there are some other martial artists in Wangchang, who will also go to the Wuxi Academy Palace to participate in this year's academy exam. If you can be admitted to the Martial City Academy, it will be like a carp jumping into the Dragon Gate, ascending to the sky in one step, and getting inexhaustible cultivation resources. Just thinking about it makes me feel very excited. These martial artists are very young, all under the age of 30, but their cultivation has reached the Xuanji realm, and each of them is not weak. At this moment, they all gathered in the martial arts arena and waited quietly. When Zhang Ruokan arrived, there were already more than 30 young martial artists gathered in the martial arts arena, both male and female martial artists. "Look, everyone, His Royal Highness the Ninth Prince is actually here. It's really the Ninth Prince. It is said that not long ago, he won the first place on the yellow list. Has he already broken through to the Xuanji realm? Since you have come to the Martial City Arena, you must have reached the Xuanji realm. It's really incredible. His cultivation speed is too fast. He deserves to be a martial arts wizard." A Yu woman in her early 20s, holding a jade flute in her hand, stared at Zhang Ruokan, who stepped down from the car, and a strange light flashed in her eyes. Opposite the Yu woman, a scrawny man glanced at the Yu woman. The two nodded lightly, and their eyes looked at Zhang Ruokan not far away at the same time, exuding a faint killing intent on their bodies. They are the two killers sent by the Defu Gate. They are young, and their cultivation has reached the Xuanji realm, which can be called talented. The Yu woman, named Ziqian, is very beautiful and has a certain reputation in the royal city. However, no one knows that she is the killer of the Defuman. The scrawny man, named Chen Libing, looked a little sickly, looking only 25 years old. When he didn't reach the Xuanji realm, he won 10 games in a row in the Yellow Rank Martial Arts Palace, and his highest ranking above the Yellow list was 18th. It was precisely because of his excellent performance in the Yellow Level Martial Arts Palace that he was recruited by Wuxi Chenjuang to become a guard captain of Wuxi Chenjuang, and under the cultivation of a large number of cultivation resources, his cultivation advanced by leaps and bounds, reaching the late stage of the Xuanji realm. A person who can become a yellow list martial artist, reach the Xuanji realm, and is definitely a top powerhouse in the same realm, and can even cross the realm to kill people. Ziqian and Chen Libing are in the Defu Gate and belong to Genius Killers. This time, their main task is to infiltrate the Marshall City School Palace in order to facilitate the completion of the assassination mission in the Marshall City School Palace in the future. The assassination of the 9 princes was, for them, just an additional task arranged above. If the assassination is successful, you will naturally be able to get a good reward. To assassinate the 9 princes without revealing their identities is also a big challenge for them. Lu Chengfeng immediately greeted him, bowed to him, and said with a smile, "Your Royal Highness the 9th Prince, Lu Mo, will make amends to you for the previous incident." Zhang Ruokan was slightly surprised when he saw Lu Chengfeng's modest appearance, and said, "Brother Lu, what are you?" Lu Chengfeng said with a smile, "Since I was defeated twice in the hands of His Royal Highness the 9th Prince in the yellow rank martial arts arena, I have learned from the pain and decided to reform and be a new person." Unexpectedly, it turned out to be 100 ways, and the cultivation immediately broke through to the Xuanji realm. Zhang Ruokan looked at Lu Chengfeng's eyes carefully and said with a smile, "Congratulations to Brother Lu. If it weren't for the encouragement of His Royal Highness the 9th Prince, I'm afraid I wouldn't have broken through to the Xuanji realm so quickly." Lu Chengfeng said with a smile. Lu Xuanchen, the owner of Wuxi Chenjuang, and several other big figures of Wuxi Chenjuang walked into the Wuxi arena together, and immediately attracted the attention of all the martial artists. Lu Xuanchen walked over to Zhang Ruokan and said with a smile, "His Royal Highness the 9th Prince, when the owner of this village and the king of the county were young, they were friends of life and death, and the relationship was irreversible. In the future, you and Chengfeng have some grievances before, and I hope to forgive him for the sake of the owner's face. If you are admitted to the Wuxi Academy together, you must take care of each other and support each other." Then, Lu Xuanchen's gaze stared at Lu Chengfeng fiercely, and said, "Chengfeng, you are too violent and not calm enough in trouble. I want you to learn more from His Royal Highness the 9th Prince in the future, and take His Royal Highness the 9th Prince as your example." Lu Xuanchen is so shrewd, he can naturally see that Zhang Ruokan's unnatural talent is definitely not comparable to his son. If his son can associate with Zhang Ruokan more, he will naturally have infinite benefits in the future. Lu Chengfeng said, "I don't need my father's orders, I will definitely learn more from His Royal Highness the 9th Prince." If Lu Chengfeng really reformed and decided to be a new person, Zhang Ruokan could naturally abandon his previous suspicions and no longer pursue the past. Lu Chengfeng can indeed be regarded as a genius. He was only 17 years old and was able to reach the great perfection of the Yellow Pole realm, and later became a yellow list martial artist, breaking through the Xuanji realm at the age of 20. Such a genius can't be found in the entire Yunwu County country. Because Lu Xuanchen was standing beside Zhang Ruokan, Ziqian and Chen Libing had no chance to make a move at all. By noon, the number of young martial artists of the Xuanji realm who had gathered in the Martial Do Palace had reached 68. In the entire Yunwu County, all the martial artists who want to go to the Wuxi Academy Palace have all arrived. Wow! A deafening eagle's cry rang from the sky, resounding through most of the royal city. A huge blood-feathered eagle flew out of the clouds, its wings spread out, more than 70 meters long. It was like a blood-red mountain, flying down from the sky. A huge momentum emanated from the body of the blood-feather eagle, let those Xuanji martial artists standing below feel a huge pressure. Some of these martial artists who were weaker in cultivation were even weaker in their legs and covered in cold sweat. The blood feather eagle is a third-order high-grade brute beast, and its combat power is comparable to that of a martial artist of the great perfection of the Earth Extreme realm. In terms of destructive power, the destructive power of the blood feather eagle is even more terrifying than that of the great perfection of the Earth Extreme realm. A young martial artist from the Xuanji realm said with some trembling. Another young female warrior said, "I once saw a blood feather eagle on the outskirts of the Heavenly Demon Ridge, and that blood feather eagle just spat out a mouthful of flames, turning a small town into scorched earth and burning everyone to death." Hearing everyone's discussions, those noble children who had never left the royal city were all pale with fright from the blood-feathered eagle in front of them. Zhang Ruokan looked calm and composed, looked above his head, and saw a middle-aged man in a silver robe standing on top of the head of the blood feather eagle. The silver-robed man's body stood straight, and he carried an ancient sword on his back. The momentum on his body seemed to be a little more powerful than that of the blood feather eagle. Lu Xuanchen put his hands behind his back and said with a smile, "Elder Xie, long time no see." The silver-robed man stood on top of the blood feather eagle and said, "Elder Lu, there are only so many dozens of people in the Yunwu County Kingdom who have participated in the Academy Palace exam this year. I remember that last year, a total of 103 Xuanji realm martial artists from the Yunwu County Kingdom went to take the Academy Palace exam, but only 3 of them passed the exam and became the Outer Palace disciples of the Academy Palace." Lu Xuanchen is the owner of the Chenjuang in Guowu City, Yunwu County, but in the interior of the Chenjuang in Wuxi City, he is the same as the silver-robed man, he is an elder. Lu Xuanchen said with a smile, "Elder Xie, rest assured, there will definitely be more people who have been admitted to the Martial City Academy this year than last year, and there may be unexpected surprises." Oh. Hearing Lu Xuanchen's words, Xie Nanshan's heart moved, and he said, "Could it be that some supreme genius was born in Yunwu County? Can you rank in the top 10 of the Academy exam?" Lu Xuanchen smiled mysteriously and said, "When the time comes, you will know." Xie Nanshan knew that Lu Xuanchen was a person who did things well, and Yunwu Zhengguo must have given birth to some great genius. We must find out that genius and accept it as a disciple in advance. Xie Nanshan's gaze was fixed on the 68 Xuanji realm martial artists below, preferably, staring at Ziqian's body, and let out a soft sigh from his mouth. Ziqian is only about 22 years old, but she has already reached the small pole of the Xuanji realm. Even in the outer palace of the Wuxi Shui Palace, she is definitely a genius. It seems that Lu Xuanchen is referring to her. Xie Nanshan's eyes showed a hint of a smile, nodded lightly, and said, "Since everyone has arrived, let's all go to the back of the blood feather eagle, and we will go to the Martial City Academy Palace now." 68 Xuanji realm martial artists all used their skills and leapt onto the back of the blood feather eagle, each looking for a place to sit down. Zhang Ruokan and Lu Chengfeng sat side by side, and suddenly, they smelled a faint fragrant wind. Zhang Ruokan turned around and looked to the left, only to see a woman in purple sitting next to him, very beautiful, and her figure was extraordinarily perfect, especially the pair of crisp peaks were particularly towering and round, as if they would break the purple clothes. Zhang Ruokan just glanced at her, and then withdrew his gaze. Wow! When everyone sat on the back of the blood feather eagle, the blood feather eagle took off, and in the blink of an eye, it flew out of the royal city and flew in the direction of the heavenly demon ridge. The blood feather eagle is not only huge, but also extremely fast. It is said that it can fly 18,000 miles a day, and many heavenly extreme realm martial artists dream of subduing a blood feather eagle as a mount. In just half an hour, he flew out of the royal city and into the boundless wilderness. Sitting on the back of the blood feather eagle, Lu Chengfeng glanced at Zhang Ruokan slightly. Zhang Ruokan was a little puzzled and said, "Brother Lu, what do you mean?" Lu Chengfeng's eyes stared at the purple-clothed woman sitting next to Zhang Ruokan, and said in a low voice, "Ninth Prince, don't you even know her?" Zhang Ruokan glanced at the woman in purple again, shook his head, and said, "I don't know." Lu Chengfeng was originally handsome and chic, but when he smiled, he looked a little obscene, and grinned. Her name is Ziqian, and she is very famous in the royal city. Not only is she young and beautiful, but her cultivation talent is also quite high. It is said that her cultivation has reached the small pole of the Zan extreme realm, and if there is no accident, she will definitely be able to become a powerhouse of the Earth extreme realm in the future. He said that in the royal city, there are many dignitaries and princes who want to marry her, but unfortunately all of them failed, and none of them could get her heart. It is said that even your brother, the third prince, once pursued her, but unfortunately she politely refused. Hey, unexpectedly, she went to the Wuxi Academy with us to take the exam, and maybe we would be students in the same class in the future. It can really be said that the building near the water gets the moon first. The ninth prince, if you don't go up, I can go up. Although Lu Chengfeng was very low, Ziqian was sitting next to Zhang Ruokan, and she was a young powerhouse in the small pole position of the Xuanji realm, so she naturally heard Lu Chengfeng's words word for word. Even Zhang Ruokan felt quite embarrassed, but Lu Chengfeng smiled, nodded lightly at Ziqian, and began to talk. Purple girl, in the next is Lu Chengfeng, the son of the owner of the Qian Zhuang in Wuxi City, who has admired the girl's name for a long time, and when I saw it today, it was really like a fairy descending to earth, not a mortal woman can be compared. Ziqian is indeed very beautiful. Her eyebrows are like willow leaves, her eyelashes are long and curled, her eyes are crystal like water, her lips are ruddy like cherries, and her skin is very fair, like clotted fat. The Lord of the Nine Counties and Lin Lushan were also extremely beautiful, but after all, they were still too young, and they could only be regarded as girls at the age of cardamom. Ziqian is different. Her figure is more perfect than that of the Nine-County Lord and Lin Lushan, and every curve on her body is concave and convex. Ziqian glanced at Lu Chengfeng and said, the son of the owner of the Wuxi Qian village. Your father is only the branch owner of the Yunwu County country, and he can only be regarded as an elder in the Wu City Qian village. Lu Chengfeng was not embarrassed at all, and continued, Purple girl seems to have some prejudices about Lu. Ziqian said, prejudice, I can't talk about it, it's just that I heard that Lu Gongzi's character is not very good, so I don't want to be friends with you. She said it very bluntly, and the young warriors around her laughed, thinking that Lu Chengfeng was simply boring for himself. You must know that there are not 1,000 suitors who were rejected by Ziqian, but also 800, and several of them are not inferior in identity and talent to Lu Chengfeng. He actually wanted to fight Zixi's idea, even if he was humiliated, he deserved it. The smile on Lu Chengfeng's face finally couldn't hold back, and he said in a deep voice, my son, what kind of identity? You dare to humiliate me like this? Believe it or not, when you arrived at the Wuxi Shui Palace, this son made you kneel and beg for mercy. This son is in the Wuxi School Palace, but there are people, and it is easy to deal with you. Ahem. Zhang Ruokan coughed dryly twice and said, Brother Lu, don't you want to reform and be a new person? Lu Chengfeng said, Ninth Prince, you don't know, she is really too deceitful. What kind of identity is this son? She actually said that I have a bad character and don't want to be friends with me. Isn't that a slap in my face? Zhang Ruokan said, if you really want to reform yourself, you must first learn to be calm. You can't bump too hard in case of trouble, and find the reason from yourself first. If you were really of good character before, Purple Maiden would naturally be willing to befriend you. But, deceive. Forget it. Good men don't fight women. Your Royal Highness the Ninth Prince, you have learned the right lesson. Lu Chengfeng gritted his teeth fiercely, swallowed this breath, sat down again, bowed his hand slightly to Ziqian, and said, Purple girl, I offended just now, and I made 1,000 mistakes, all of which were my Lu Chengfeng's fault. Ziqian glanced at Zhang Ruokan slightly, nodded, and said, in the future, you will definitely not be wrong to learn more from His Royal Highness the Ninth Prince. That's, Lu Chengfeng said in a voice. Another killer, Chen Liping, sat behind Zhang Ruokan, looking very calm, and said, since Lu Gongzi is the son of the owner of the Wuxi Chenjuang branch, he must know more about the examination of the Wuxi Academy Palace than we do. I don't know Lu Gongzi, can you tell us about it? Lu Chengfeng suddenly laughed, looking quite proud, and said, I definitely know much more about the Martial City Academy than you. To tell you the truth, before I reached the Xuanji realm, I had already gone to the Martial City Academy Palace to cultivate 7 times, and each time I had a lot of gains. Last year, a total of 103 young martial artists from our Yunwu County Kingdom participated in the examination of the Martial City Academy, and at the time of the examination, 28 people died, and 37 martial artists were seriously injured and disabled, and in the end, only 3 of them passed the examination and became the Outer Palace students of the Martial City Academy. Hearing Lu Chengfeng's words, the young martial artist almost gasped. I had long heard that the exams in the Wuxi Academy Palace were cruel, but I didn't expect the mortality rate to be so high. Lu Chengfeng saw the frightened appearance of everyone. His heart was quite happy, and he continued to speak. After all, Yunwu County is only an inferior county, with a population base of only 80 million, and every time you go to take the Wuxi Academy Palace exam, there are only about 100 people at most. But, have you heard of the quartet? The Sifang Prefecture is a medium-sized county with a population of over 300 million. Every year, hundreds of young martial artists from the Sifang Prefecture go to take the exams of the Martial City Academy. Last year, there were 36 people from the Sifang County who became the Outer Palace students of the Wuxi Academy. Only 3 people passed the exam in Yunwu County, but there were 36 people in Sifang County, and the gap was too big. A warrior who had reached the age of 27 or 18 sighed, "The Sifang counties are the only medium-sized counties among the 9 counties in Lingxi, and they are the most powerful, with a territory equivalent to 5 Yunwu counties. All the counties bordering the quartet are very unlucky, and they are often oppressed by the quartet junior." 2 years ago, the Sifang Zhongguo wanted to seize a mine of our Yunwu Zhongguo in the Heavenly Demon Mountains, and the Yunwu Zhenjun king naturally refused to hand it over to the Sifang Zhongguo. So the 2 countries went to war on the Mohe River, and the number of troops of the Sifang County was 5 times that of our Yunwu County, and 400,000 troops were dispatched. In that battle, in the end, our Yunwu County was defeated, and even that mine was taken away. It is said that in the battle 2 years ago, the Sifang County killed 30,000 soldiers of our Yunwu County state, took away 7 cities, and millions of poor people were taken captive by them and became slaves of the Sifang County state. Some of those people were bought into Qinglu and became prostitutes women. Some were sold to the mines, where they mined in the dark every day. There are also some who live worse than pigs and dogs, and let the people of the Quartet County bully. It's hateful. Lu Chengfeng looked at Zhang Ruokan, who was sitting on the side, and said, "If we don't fight and let the Sifang County take away that mine, won't we be even more oppressed by the Quartet County in the future?" Everyone sighed. Who called the Sifang Zhongguo as a medium Zhongguo, and the Yunwu Zhongguo is not the opponent of the Sifang Zhongguo at all. In that battle 2 years ago, even the king of Yunwu County was seriously injured and almost fell. According to the population base, territorial area, and number of strong people in each county, the county is divided into 3 levels, namely, inferior counties, medium counties, and upper counties. In general, the population of the lower counties is under 100 million. The population of a medium-sized county is generally between 100 million and 500 million. The population of the upper counties is almost all over 500 million. Of course, to measure the strength of a county, we should not only look at the number of people and territory, but also the number of strong people in this county. The more strong the martial arts, the stronger the national strength will naturally be. For example, a county with a population of only tens of millions can also become a medium-sized county if there are enough warriors in the Earth Extreme Realm and the Heavenly Extreme Realm. Lu Chengfeng said. It is said that this year, more than 600 people from the Sifang County will go to the exam of the Wuxi Academy, and the leader of the team is Prince Huo Xing of the Sifang County. The Sifang Zhongguo has always wanted to annex the Yunwu Zhongguo, and it is estimated that this time the Sifang Zhongguo will suppress our warriors of the Yunwu Zhongguo when the school palace exams are going to be suppressed. In last year's exam of the Martial City Academy, the reason why so many young martial artists died in our Yunwu County Kingdom is that it is said that the candidates of the Sifang County Kingdom are hindering it. A young martial artist said, "No wonder only 3 of us in the Yunwu County Kingdom passed the exam of the Martial City Academy last year. It must be the Quartet County that is deliberately suppressing us." It is said that the Prince Huo Xing of the Sifang County is also a martial arts wizard, and at the age of 17, he reached the Xuanji realm. Moreover, he is also a beast master, and he has recovered many powerful war beasts. Everyone is talking about Prince Huo Xing of the Sifang County, and some people are worried about the exam of this year's Wuxi Academy. After all, the candidates of the Sifang County Kingdom are 10 times that of the Yunwu County Kingdom, if they are determined to suppress the Yunwu County Kingdom. The mortality rate of the warriors of the Yunwu County Kingdom this year will probably be even higher. At this moment, Ziqian, who was sitting next to Zhang Ruokan, took out a thin cow hair needle from the tip of her hair without leaving a trace and sandwiched it between two snow onion jade fingers. Her delicate body slowly leaned towards Zhang Ruokan next to her. There were a total of 68 young martial artists on the back of the blood feather eagle, and even if Zhang Ruokan died under the poison of the poisonous bee needle, no one would suspect her. She's going to shoot.